Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Brendan, and here we teach that what you are thinking feelingly and imagining throughout your day is creating your physical experience. Now, today's video is going to touch a little bit on how to let go of your former beliefs and also how to recognize that all time is now. There is only the present moment, and therefore the past is malleable. It can be changed. The future is malleable. It can be chosen. So, this is coming from a talk that I watched by Bashar, and in it he was telling this person who asked a question about feeling like they lost connection with the memories of their childhood as they were becoming a new person. And he began to say that you literally are a new person. Every little minute change in your thinking, your feeling, your belief, your imagining, your behavior, any kind of change you can make is literally shifting you from being one person to another person, because fractions of a fraction of a second, you are shifting through states. All states exist, but it is dependent upon the differences that you will make within yourself. You have to change self and know self to be a different being in order to realize that you literally are. It is undeniable that in this way, you can literally make the change from looking one way to looking another way if you will completely disown or disidentify yourself from the past that tells you you've always looked a certain way. To make that a little bit clearer, let's make the example about financial abundance. Maybe you've always been a person who struggles with money, okay? That's your story, right? This is the story that is perpetuated in your mind, and therefore your natural reactions to life are in the negative when it comes to the idea of finances or money. So by completely shifting your belief on that and no longer identifying with that story, you are literally, not just in imagination, not just thinking, literally you are not that same person anymore. That is not your story anymore. You can no longer continue to identify with it. Thank you to that version of you who was that, who experienced those things that you would call memories, so that you can come to where you are now. But as a new person, you also have a new backstory. Your past, as we call it, is literally different because you are no longer that same person who always struggled. Now, this may be a strange idea to work into the mind, but the best way I can see it is to almost gaslight yourself. But here, I don't mean to use it negatively. I mean using it to change yourself so that you can actually detach or disidentify completely with that person that you no longer are, with that old story of lack, limitation, with regards to whatever it is that you desire. So the reason that this is so powerful is because how many times have we allowed ourselves to, based on no facts, just based on our thinking, our feeling, our imagining, to throw ourselves into a state of fear, worry, doubt, or even suffering? Okay? If we're willing to let ourselves do that for the sake of the negative, then we can also learn to do it for the sake of the positive. Allow yourself to not just imagine, but to know that you are literally a different person than you were before. That other person has those memories, those negative experiences, that old story. You are literally a new being now. So now, what is your story? Live it, okay? Go back and experience, because all time is now. You're not limited by space-time. Only physically do we seem to be limited. But when you go into the true being that you are, that is all imagination, purely mental, really, then you have no limitation. You can go into the future, you can go into the past, you can go into a parallel now. That's all it really is. It's just infinite parallel nows, but the way we perceive it is in time. So we see it as the past and the future. So what is your new past? Now that you're this new person who never had that struggle, who never had that problem, who has always been abundant, who has always been loved, who has always been beautiful, what is your new story? How have people always treated you? And don't just lightly be like, oh, that would be nice. No, like deeply, deeply. I mean, really, it's you. It is actually you. Okay? To the point where you can actually, even if 3D is in your face, giving you obstacles, giving you circumstances that go completely against what you're telling yourself, you can still continue in that positive gaslighting way, tell yourself, that is not me. This is not my reality. This is not my experience. And then you go within and continue to identify with and think feelingly and imagine that you are the person you desire to be, or that you have the things that you desire to have. And you've always had them. You have always had them. You can't sit here and think about how it's going to happen, or if it's going to happen, or why it's never happened. You have it now. You have it now. You literally cannot think differently. And if you do, just bring it right back. Continue to say, that's not me. That's literally not you. You're not just telling yourself that and trying to believe it. Literally, it is not you. It is a different person. And this is radical, okay? In the last talk we had about learning to die, Neville talks about abandoning yourself to the state and doing, as William Blake said, going mad. Okay, so we have the modern terms. We can call it self-gaslighting. We can call it delusional, but you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to go mad. The true delusion is identifying with the limitations of the senses. You are God. You are not some limited human being who can only do a few things, or you can chunk down on your manifestation and make it small, and then you can manifest just a cup of coffee. No, you can have whatever you want, but you have to be willing to be the person who has it now. Skip the part where you have to try and believe that it's possible. Skip any of the troubles. Skip thinking about who you used to be and all that former work. It's done. It's done. You've always been that person. So if you're going to imagine something, imagine this new story as yours right here, right now. And there is no other person. There never was any other person. All things exist right here, right now. Creation is finished, okay? There are infinite realities. So you can just recognize that's not your story. It's one in the infinite creation, but it's not your story. You are literally a different person as you assume that you have always had whatever it is that you desire. And you don't let anyone tell you what's possible or what's not. I see people who are starting to compromise, right? Maybe they're teaching this work, but then they tell you you can't have drastic physical changes without surgery. I'm not going to tell you that you can't. I'm under the belief that maybe somehow, some way, if it's for the best, then maybe you'll become comfortable with the idea of surgery and then you get what you want. But if you really never will get comfortable with it, you still have that desire, and your desire is a message from God of what is meant for you. So you will get it, you will have it, but you have to be willing to stay in the state long enough that you lose yourself in it. Literally go mad. Go mad. No longer identify with what you're seeing physically in the mirror. It's the old story. That was never you. It's literally not you. And that sounds crazy, but that's why people are so scared to die. You have to die to that former state. So be willing to do that, no matter what it is. Physical appearance, financial abundance, ideal relationship, that new home. You have it now. Right now, right now, right now. You can't keep thinking about it and thinking how it's going to happen or being unsatisfied. You can enjoy it, but you can't keep desiring it because you already have it. Now, I want to touch a little bit on how to let go of that old story so you can actually feel that you are literally a new person. And what I want to give you is just a method of letting go, learning to let go. And it's just a small meditation. You can do this anytime, anywhere, but begin to relax the mind. All right. Just sit down somewhere quiet, somewhere you won't be bothered. Close the eyes if you like, and begin to observe your thoughts. Don't allow the mind to continue thinking as you normally do, but observe the thought that comes into the mind. What is the nature of it? What is it about? Is it positive, negative? How does it feel? And then let it go. And then the next thought comes and you do it again. You observe the nature of the thought and then let it go. And as you practice this, doing it again and again, you might find your mind thinking. You might catch a thought that you think you need to think about, maybe something you need to get done. And if that's true, keep a pen and paper nearby or your phone and type it in the Notes app, and then come back to the practice. Let it go completely. Let it go completely. Observe the next thought. Let it go completely. Observe the next thought. Let it go completely. And as you continue to do that, you are practicing letting go of everything in this world, including the world of the senses. How are you going to expect yourself to be able to let go of what you've always known if you don't practice letting go? So this is a wonderful, easy, simple practice. You just sit and observe the thought, let it go. Observe the thought, let it go. And as you do so, it's like working out. You're building up that muscle. But instead of building it up to hold on to something, you're learning to let go of what you've held on to in mind, in your imagination for so long. Okay? And you're not crazy for doing this. It's not delusional. You are literally being the inner man. as Neville Goddard described it, which isn't really gender, it's all imagination. There's no gender to it, it's just a being. But that inner being of imagination, the one to whom all things are possible, Christ, God, the infinite universe, source, whatever you want to call it, but that you has no limitation, and you are literally becoming a new being every time you choose to identify with imagination instead of this world of the senses. So do this practice, give it at least 5-10 minutes a day, and maybe you'll learn to enjoy it. But as you do so, you'll find yourself not reacting to life the same way. It will be easier and easier to let go, and easier to positively gaslight yourself into knowing that that old story was never you. That was a different reality, someone else, somewhere else, and you now have always been the infinitely powerful one who has everything. So be sure to leave a like and comment if you found this helpful. As always, thank you so much for watching. I love you all very much, and I will see you next time. Take care.